Hey everyone, this is Andrew, and in this video I wanted to look at one of my songs, Legacy, and go over some of the rasp techniques in the song. So this isn't like a show you how to rasp or scream type of video. It's just I go through some of the parts, I'll sing them, and then I'll just try to break them down and explain how I feel that I'm actually doing them inside my throat. So first I'm just going to open the song and click play. Get some water first. We all deviate to our deepest dark desires. We cry, we lie as we look into their eyes. Nothing is as sacred as the promises we keep inside. I want to create, and I want to leave behind a life, a record of everything I love for you to find. So before we dig into the vocal techniques that I'm using in the song as far as rasp is concerned, I wanted to ask a community question. So I'm wondering, for those of you that sing with rasp already, i.e. you're not here to necessarily learn how to do the rasp technique, you're here to just learn different ways about rasp and how different people approach rasp. How would you explain the technique of doing rasp in writing? I've always found it very difficult to teach people how to do a rasp technique in writing. It's just very difficult. You really just need to do examples and show people, have them make sounds. But explain to me in your own words how you approach doing rasp. Back to the video. So that's part of the first verse, then into the first full chorus. The first part of the song, I start off with this low thing. We all create a piece to leave behind. We all deviate to our deepest dark desires. And so I might be getting the note a little wrong since I'm not listening to the song now, but the first little rasp bit in that verse is to our deepest dark desires. And that's kind of more of the hazy type rasp. And I'll go over for a sec how I do that. You kind of imagine that there's a layer of haze floating on top of your voice. And you add a little more breath support, and you kind of whisper on top of it, but not the same way of whispering. So if you get a note, you're like, I hear that tiny bit of rasp that gets added to it. That's what I'm talking about. So it's not breathy like a whisper, but the rasp is so light that it sounds like a whisper. So I'll do a few transitions just so you can hear the evolution of how you go from clean to haze rasp. Deepest dark desire. And then from rasp to clean. Desire. So I'm adding a little bit of extra breath support. It feels kind of like in the back of your throat that you're getting kind of a little bit of extra like push. Desire. And it really helps if you make it a little extra nasally, which is why when I do that, I kind of make the word desire a little extra nasally, and I add the vibrato then. To our deepest dark desires. Next part is we cry, we lie as we look into their eyes. Nothing is as sacred as the promises we keep inside. And there's a few words in that are rasped, whereas the rest are singing. So we cry, and that's that kind of haze rap. So cry, cry. And it's hard to explain exactly what you're doing. In reality, what's happening is your false chords are tightening. Your false chords are right above your vocal cords, and they're just adding a little bit of touching so that they're vibrating, but they're not like fully saturated. They're just kind of like, barely vibrating. So we cry. And again, one way to approach that is to get the note, add a little bit of extra breath pressure, and kind of imagine the sounds pushing up in the back of your throat There's different approaches. Another approach might be to try to start from a grunt and work backwards. So you might want to go like, huh, ah, huh, I will lie. And that's the same kind of technique you would do to learn how to scream. You know, you can go, huh, ow, ow, huh, ow. And then you can also transform that into the haze rasp or regular rasp. So anyways, pushing forward into the song, I think next is the chorus. And this is the same kind of techniques. It's a little less hazy and a little more grit, but still a very light grit. So also mixed with singing. So I hope to find all of the answers to my life. Will I be analyzed? Will I be forever lost in time? I want to create, and I want to leave behind a life, a record of everything I love for you to find. And there's a little bit of haze words, and there's a little bit of rasp part. So, I hope to find. And so the rasp part comes in. Will I be analyzed? And you can hear the difference between the haze rasp and the more gritty rasp. So the haze rasp would be analyzed. Will I be forever lost in time? But what I'm doing is analyzed. Will I be forever lost in time? Which is just a little bit of extra breath pressure, and you try to make your voice less breathy. So if you can start from the haze rasp, the really only difference between the haze rasp and the grit is a combination of the amount of pressure you add and the amount of like breath you add into the sound. Then also the way you kind of tone the words. So, you know, you could sing like, analyzed, will I be forever lost in time? I want to. And that's kind of hazy. Or you can do, I want to. So it's the difference between want to and want to. So, ooh versus ooh. And there's a very subtle difference, but the way it feels is, you know, one's a little tighter in terms of the false chord activation, a little more pressure, and a little less breathy. And often I have a hard time actually going, if you notice there, some of them don't necessarily sound that different. I have a hard time just naturally switching between the two. It's mostly based on feel. When you're singing the song, you kind of imagine that the word is hazy or the word is gritty. And in the performance, you might switch it around. So the way that the recording sounds in the track Legacy, it's a little bit cleaner. The one reason is because there's harmony tracks, and I'm mixing those in. Another reason is I think I might have double tracked, and then also I'm doing different takes and combining them. So it's hard to remember exactly how it goes, but when I originally sang it and how I usually sing along to it is with that amount of rasp. So anyways, that's it for the main parts of the song. There is a bridge part, which is hard to sing, but I'll try to go through it. Think of the ways you're chosen. You're just an animal. We are alive and breathing. Think of the life you're leading. Again, I messed up my own lyrics. I don't even remember what line I messed up, but I said we instead of you or something. So anyways, the first part is kind of like a light regular rasp. So think of the ways you're chosen. And then a full rasp part. You're just an animal. Back to gritty rasp. You are alive and breathing. Then to a hazy rasp. Think of the life you're leading. And you got to lean into the mic when you get to that part. Think of the life you're leading. Also, those intervals in that part, I I had a lot of trouble nailing that when I recorded this. For some reason, the think of the life you're leading. I've always had trouble singing notes, I guess, perfectly. So it takes a lot of practice for me and a lot of takes to get like a take like that. Also, not gonna lie, I do use pitch correction like the rest of the world, so I did have to fine tune that in the song. Just a little note about my recording process, I guess. But anyways, so yeah, that's transitions from grit to full rasp to grit to haze all in one part. So I'll do it without the track behind it. Gonna guide you through it again. So think of the ways you're chosen. You're just an animal. You are alive and breathing. Think of the life you're leading. And yeah, that's really all the parts in the song, or at least for the most part. And that's all the raspiness. So in general, there, you got your haze rasp, you got your regular kind of gritty rasp, you got your saturated, you're just an animal! Which, honestly, that sound you can transform into a Tool type scream, Perfect Circle type scream, or a Monuments type rasp, or whatever. So, a lot of these techniques are very similar, so if you learn one, you can apply it to the other, and then learn the next one over and over again. So, yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more. Also, little plug, don't forget to ring that bell if you want to stay notified in my channel. So, yeah, see you later. Bye.